I want the title in my name, I can tell you that. This thing's so dope. You want to pull it into the shop? With the front end up in the air and the wheels off, we can kind of assess what we got going on here. A couple things we see unplugged, and a couple things are leaking, probably just from it sitting so long and then being brought back from the dead. But we can get a better visual of what's going on with the wheel tubs, clearance issues, any of that stuff. It's not terrible. Looks like the wheel rubs just a little bit, probably at full lock. But 22-inch dually wheel on the front of a van, I guess that's to be expected. Our main concern is this bag. So it looks like it's got a Slam Specialties 7-inch bag in there, which is great. What's not great is all those cracks. Obviously this thing has lived a full life, so we're gonna have to replace that. As far as shocks, what we're looking for is where we can fit them without affecting the turning radius. So I'm guessing what we're gonna end up having to do is come off the lower control arm and sneak it up through the upper control arm. Maybe trim this back and build a little tower off of that. See what kind of room we have to come up any higher. I guess we'll get the bag out first, compress the suspension, and see what everything looks like from there. If that spot won't work, then we'll have to kind of figure something else out and get real creative. Ideally, we'd want to come off the front of the arm, but we've got a bunch of stuff going on there too. So yeah, let's get the bags out and jack this front end up and then see what we've got. You can see, we'll have to look underneath a little further, but it looks like the whole front clip's been Z'd up, probably to get the oil pan up off the ground and get the suspension from binding, or keep it from binding, I should say. But yeah, pretty neat stuff. There's not really a, you know, with a truck, you've kind of got a bunch of other ones to reference. So with this, it was sort of, they were kind of figuring it out as they went. So pretty cool. Right on. All right, let's see what we got. All right, with the bag out of the way and the spindle dropped out, we were sort of trying to figure out where we can fit a shock. We've got a little bit of room going up through the inside of the control arm, just to the side of the bag. I think if we take their plate that they welded onto the lower arm and just extend a little drop mount over with an ear, that should clear everything at full lock. Sneak up through there, cut this back, and weld a new tower off the side of the frame and up, and basically hang it right up in here, just below the floor level. It's gonna be really snug, but I think that gets us the travel we need. So yeah, we're gonna cut that piece of bracket out of the way, and then we can actually stick the shock up in there and sort of mock everything up and see what works out. Hoping that works. The other side has tons of room compared to the driver's side. You know, you got steering, you got, looks like a bunch of wiring harnesses and all that. The other side's pretty free and clear, at least until someone goes to try to put air conditioning back in it. But that is a problem for next guy, and I hope that's not me. So let's see what happens. All right, we got a spot figured out. We got the frame cleaned up. Had to cut part of this upper bracket out of the way to make clearance for the tower. But it looks like we're gonna be able to sneak the shock in right about here. That'll give us just enough room up above for the bushing and everything, and keep it out of the way of the wheel and the spindle and everything. So we're gonna get that tacked in. I'm gonna mock up a lower after we measure the overall height at full compression, make sure everything clears, and then we can final weld everything. So as long as everything works, I will check back in with you in just a few minutes. Okay, I think that's gonna work out. It is really close to touching the upper control arm at like full droop, but it clears. And the angle gets a little weird at full droop and at full compression, but the bushings, as long as you leave them a little bit loose so they're not completely bound up, you should have the clearance to keep everything from binding. New bags are in. Looks like we got plenty of clearance to where the shock is. Threw some paint on the stuff that we had ground down, double checked everything. We had some wheel speed sensor wires that were twisted together and wrapped in tape, so we went ahead and put proper sealed connectors on them. I think we're ready to put some wheels on and put this thing back on the ground and then go terrorize the neighborhood real quick. So let's see how that goes.